Well, good afternoon, everybody. As Vlad just mentioned, I'm Ross Barker. I work for Haymarket Business Media, which is the UK's largest privately owned publisher, and we have a MICE network that covers the UK, Europe, and also Asia. To give you a bit of background about the company and about how we, and of course what we do, established publisher for over 50 years, and our MICE portfolio is a combined circulation, the print products of over 45,000 paid for subscribers. We also produce live events, digital platforms, and our C&IT audience, just from the UK alone, combined has a combined buying power of over £8.6 billion. A few of you might not know, but the UK mice market is actually bigger than agriculture, and is increasing year on year by 7%. The mice brands that we have, we're keen advocates right across social media, and many of our editorial teams are leaders in their field, winning business travel tourism awards and meetings and events editor awards as well. This is the product overview. These are our print and our digital products. I'll come on to this later on, that this is how we kind of get our robust data and how we position ourselves in the industry. There's our live events run right through, as I mentioned, through Europe and also Asia. But this is the main important thing. This is what I really wanted to speak to you today about. Every year we publish our State of the Industry report, and we focus on UK agencies and UK corporates and look at their trends, analyse their business and what their upcoming MICE business-torium efforts are over the coming years. Last year we surveyed over 200 corporate event planners, some of which some of you, I imagine, are very familiar with, based in the UK, but who book European or plan international events as well. Some of the key stats here is that 81% of agencies are looking to increase in profits and also turnover in 2015, and then that is looking to increase to 87% in early indications for 2016. The big agency trends that we've seen, 73% took part in more pitches in 2015 than 2014, but actually 75% declined pitches. Again, this looks at that they have to look at the return on investment, because it's very costly to pitch for large events. 32% of the agencies surveyed have got global offices, and that was an increase on 6% year on year. 25% of the agencies as well have witnessed an increase in incentive programs. 86% of agencies have also looked to increase headcount in 2014, and this is a growing trend from following the stats early indicators for 2015 as well. This kind of supports that there's good company and job stability, falling unemployment in the UK, Conservative government being in power as well, and also helping domestic and international business efforts. Other areas for the UK, a strong pound is really helping business events now and looking at certain destinations, and also the fall in oil price. The main challenges faced with the agencies that we found is the talent retention and recruitment, especially with millennials, being the fact that they are easy to move more freely. Thus, also opportunities for them to start ups or looking at doing something on their own in competition with the company where they've been working previously. Growth is another area of how to manage quite difficultly. Realistic expectations, but a positive industry outlook and a competitive landscape is a real focus for this upcoming year. Another area which leans as well to an effective and convention bureau is the lead times. Although the budgets are stronger and lead times are still decreasing, so agencies find it difficult to plan and execute the events that they're putting forward. So it's imperative for convention bureaus, local agencies, international agencies to work very closely so that they can execute those events. Procurement, especially, still quite hard for the smaller agencies and the startups, because they don't have the negotiation or the muscle to negotiate better terms. And as I mentioned before, pitching is still one of the biggest challenges. From the people that we surveyed, 2 to 500 plus pitches per year, and very, very difficult to manage because it puts an awful lot of pressure on financial and also workflow resource. Corporate trends, the 35% of the biggest is still budget. Although budgets are coming back, it's still difficult to get final agreement and sign-off. 59% expect to increase the number of events though, organised from 2015 and looking into 2016. And 30% now run travel incentive programmes, which a bit of a taboo from maybe 2008 to 2013, but the last 18 months has seen a huge change, a huge shift for corporates to actually bring back incentive programmes to reward their staff. 24% are not now looking to invest in new technology because there was a huge surge from around 2011 to 2013, and they feel now that they've reached a standard for technology, well, for the coming year, 2016, that investment is not needed as much as before. 38% of corporate event planners expect their budgets to remain static, flat in 2015 in view of planning for events for 2016. Challenges for the corporates, again, as we mentioned just earlier, budgets, the resource in terms of planning, increasing the delegate numbers and the revenue. It's not just increasing the delegates to an event, it's mainly as well as maintaining them as people look to new events, but also changing landscapes of European but Asian events, the growth in the Asian market for the event sector as well, ROI and innovation of their events. The 7 key trends for 2016 is personalisation. A lot of feedback that we found is that bespoke programmes looking at individuals rather than a group for these itineraries, that they want tailor-made experiences and want to focus on the individual as much as possible. One thing that was very popular in the 80s that then seemed to disappear, but now it's very, very popular, or there seems to be an increase of partner programmes that want to bring family members to share the destination, the experience that they have at that time, also to welcome spouses, friends and mums. But downtime, we mentioned this earlier with Renée's presentation, and also Austin mentioned about a bit of a digital detox. A large amount of the feedback was that the incentive programmes or the rewards, people also want that valuable downtime available to switch off and to keep everything in context. All eyes are on the Eastern Europe, that is. Ljubljana, more importantly Tallinn, and more importantly Riga are among the destinations tipped for pitches for 2016, 17 and 18. As global terrorist threats push some of the groups away from the traditional European capitals, that's something that we've seen over the past 6 to 12 months that's been very difficult to deal with. Year of the startup, going back to the agencies this is, that there's been a huge increase, especially in the UK and in Europe as well, setting up European offices. Startup agencies, but want to differentiate themselves away from the likes of Zyber and George P. Johnson, for example. So they're looking at destinations that aren't as familiar or aren't as common as some of the destinations to focus their events with. Some relevant here, but long-haul travel is enjoying a bit of a renaissance, with 54% of agencies now forecasting long-haul incentives. Food porn, delegates appreciate food experiences is insatiable. Majority, nearly 90, I think it was 98% of feedback from our agencies and also the corporates said that this was one of the main things, that they wanted to sample and enjoy the destination as much as possible. So I think it's really important for destinations to look at their local gastronomy and how to give people a real flavour of the destination whilst they're there. And then a little bit of carrying on with the food thought theme. The average group size for a short haul meeting, 145 participants, staying for an average of 2 nights. Now, looking at that and looking at Lena mentioned about the economic impact, aside from hotel accommodation and flights, on average, from what we've surveyed coming out of the UK, they'll spend in around €127,000 per event, which has a phenomenal impact. I think you'd agree with for a destination. But then this also leans towards the Convention Bureau and how well equipped it can be, and the effectiveness of the city and that economic impact, because there's a trend now about in terms of a city's intellectual capital, so that people won't just visit a city due to the right infrastructure, the hardware, for example, right flight access, hotels, entertainment, but also what knowledge there is and what skill set they also have in a destination. So that then leads to immigration, the knowledge transfer, and then finally with inward investment. And that's about it. Thank you.